Hi, I'm Ashley McDonald, and I'd like to welcome you to this episode of Cooking with MFRD. We've got a great show lined up for you today. We're going to be making Reese's PB cheesecake. You're going to need to grab the following ingredients. For the crust, you're going to need 1 pack of Oreos with the center removed and crushed, 1 stick of butter melted. You're going to need for the caramel filling 1 package of Kraft caramels and a touch of sweetened condensed milk. For the cheesecake filling, you're going to need 32 ounces of cream cheese at room temperature, 5 eggs, 1 cup of creamy peanut butter, 1.5 cups of light brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, half a cup of heavy cream, and a package of mini Reese's. Well, welcome back. I'd like to introduce firefighter Julia Pitt. She's going to share her Reese's PB cheesecake recipe with us. So I'm ready to get started. Are you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So the first thing you're going to need is your package of Oreos. You're going to take the cream out of them, and if you have a food processor, it makes the job a lot easier. So we're going to put the Oreos in the food processor. You're also going to need a spring form pan. If you don't know what that is, it's one of these little guys right here that you can pop off like that. Make sure that's set in there. Ashley's going to wrap the bottom of the spring form pan up to about right here, because later on when we cook it, we're going to put it in a water bath, and we don't want the water getting in there because it'll ruin your crust and your cheesecake, and it's just going to be gross. So if you'll just wrap it one at a time,
Yes,
just make sure that's good. Also, you're going to need a stick of butter melted. We've already melted it. And I'm going to go ahead and do this now.
Doc, we have a pulse. Get it?
Oh, I was like, why are you hollering? So now that we've finished this, you can see that it's finely ground. Like I said earlier, if you mix or you squish it by hand, it's not going to be that way. So we're going to take this off, unlock this.
Julia, do you think I need a little bit more foil?
Probably so.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is we're going to fill it up. We need to cover this too. So we need to come a little higher just to make sure that water doesn't get in there.
Okay.
So we're going to do this. Be careful not to make a mess or make a mess, which there is a few little chunks in there. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. Empty that into the bowl.
At least we're not doing it with a rolling pin like I have to do at home.
Yeah. Squish it all up. There is a couple in there, so I'm going to go ahead and just squish them. No, like I said, no big deal if it's a little chunky. You don't want it to be full Oreos because they won't stick together when you put the butter in there. But a little bit of chunkiness isn't going to hurt. Oh, and I flung stuff everywhere.
Now, what's the reason for taking the cream out of the center of the Oreos? Just make it, just, never mind, just kidding.
It's probably going to make it too squishy. I've never tried it. And plus, I don't think it'll grind up really.
Well, that's probably true.
I mean,
It's probably harder to get out of the food processor. Is that good, do you think?
That's okay. Don't need it. Squish, 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 squish. All right. That looks good. Perfect. Ashley, will you pour the butter in there for me?
I will.
So we're going to go ahead and pour the butter in there, the melted butter.
And it's just a stick.
Yep, just 1 stick of butter. We're just going to mix that around. Do, 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 till it looks good and coated. Typically the Oreo pieces, they look kind of dry. You can see when you put the butter with them, they get a little darker, get really shiny. So you want it all to be really shiny.
Shiny Oreos, folks.
Shiny Oreos are delicious Oreos.
Well, they have butter on them, so of course they are.
more better, right?
That's right.
All right. Does that look good? Look
That
all
looks
shiny?
great to me.
All right, so Ashley, I'm going to hand this to her, and she's going to dump it into the bowl. And what she's going to do is she's just going to pat it out and then work it up the sides. That way it makes a crust around it.
She's trusting me to do a lot here.
I am trusting her. That's okay. I mean, she's got to squish it in there.
So, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say what you want to do is make sure that it's squished in there tight, because if you don't, when we put that caramel filling on there, it'll seep through the crust, and you're going to have a mess.
Yeah, we don't want a mess.
Yeah, I mean, I already made a mess over here, but you don't want a messier cheesecake. So, squish, squish, squish.
Okay.
And you can, as we say, you can use your hand and just use the palm of it and get in there. And with Oreos, let me show you. If you kind of work it to the middle first.
Okay.
Like
We're going to make
this.
this a group effort.
It's a group effort. We're learning here today.
That's right.
So you need to kind of do the middle first.
Okay.
And then start working it up the sides, because
Okay.
if not, you're not
You're
going
not
to work
going to
it
have
back
anything
down.
on the
You're
bottom
gonna,
either.
Yeah.
Okay. And
you
so,
need it
Julia,
on
tell us how you were able to come up with this recipe.
Funny story, actually. So I bake a lot at work, and I have a lot of people ask me to make things and that kind of stuff. So I had a friend who may have been on the cooking show before come up with this cheesecake for his birthday. He said that he wanted a cheesecake with all these things. He wanted an Oreo crust. He wanted caramel in it. He wanted peanut butter pieces with a peanut butter cheesecake, and just
That doesn't sound high maintenance at all.
Cheesecake, yeah, like the holy mecca cheesecake. So I'd never made it before. As far as that one, something that complicated. One day at the fire hall, I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna make this. Just sat down and made it, and the rest is history on that. So we missed a little piece right there.
I'm gonna let you come back behind me and
All right, so
fix my brokenness.
The sides are a little thick. That's okay. This is no big deal. Let's just squish it on out. Squish it. Work it, work it, work it.
Too funny.
All right, so right here we need a little more. So when you do that, do you see how I'm like pushing it down and squishing it in? Try that.
Well, it keeps sticking to my fingers. I think that's my issue.
It's okay. If it's sticking to you, you can also always take your spoon.
Good idea.
Put your little finger on it. Squish, 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 squish. I just use my hands because it's easier for me. Squish, 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 squish. Squish, 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 squish. And then
I don't have good crust squishing
hands.
hands.
All right, so when my crust squishing skills could use some work. All right, so when you're done with it, what I normally do, because I do it at the fire hall, is I put it in the freezer. But today I'm going to pop it over here in the refrigerator real quick, and then we're just going to set it aside. Forget about it. So now that we put the crust in the refrigerator, sit for a little while, we're going to melt the caramels.
Okay.
So what you need is a package of Kraft caramels. Looks about like this. And you're going to unwrap them. Now, it's kind of tedious, but that's okay. Actually, will you finish?
I would be happy to do this.
Give you some for you, some for me.
And just to let you all know, we also preheated the oven to 350. I never know whether to call these caramels. What is the proper?
Caramels. I don't know. I guess it's just where you're from. You have to be really careful with this, by the way, guys. If you're not doing it on a double boiler, which is, I don't know if y'all know what that is, where you set it over water, because you can burn it. So don't burn it.
Don't burn the caramels.
So we're gonna throw those away. And this is actually sweetened condensed milk. It's not in a can because it wasn't a can, and then I had to use it for the TV Magic cheesecake. And yeah, anyways, that's not important. Just add a little bit of that.
That looks like it's probably about like a half a can or close to half a can or a third maybe.
That is, but I'm not adding it all.
Okay.
And I'll just kind of eyeball it. Get that heat going. Make sure you turn on the right eye. That's happened to me several times.
And because we're from the fire department, we're going to also tell you to always make sure that your handles are pointed inward so that nobody walking by can knock that pot off of the stove.
Safety tip and cooking tips.
Yes, yes.
So it's heating up. I can smell it. You just got to wait a minute. You don't want to turn it up too high, like I said, because you will burn it and melt your spatula and make a mess, and you're going to get frustrated.
So did McCraven like the creation after you?
I think, yeah. I'm pretty sure he actually loved it. And several people after that have loved it because I've made it several other times.
Good.
And been asked for it several times.
That's the bad thing about making things well, is you get requested to make those things all the time.
All right, see, like right now, I gotta be careful because it's starting to heat up really quick. So I'm just gonna turn it down a little bit, and then I'm gonna stir. If you hear it sizzling, that's a bad thing.
It could harden up pretty quick, I would say.
Yeah, and if you burn it, like when you burn sugar, it has this really specific taste. You're not gonna like it.
Not good.
You're not gonna like that.
And Julia is at our headquarters station located on Vine Street. And Julia, you've been with us for 6 years now?
Yeah, on the 20th of this month. What is today?
Wow.
What is today? Is it the 15th or the 16th?
16th.
I think it's the 16th. Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Well, thank you.
That smells so good.
And you can also add a little bit of like heavy whipping cream to it just to make sure you don't burn it.
Okay.
We actually have a, will you grab that bottle or that little thing right there of heavy whipping cream?
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the blue container right there on the counter. We're gonna add a little bit of that too, just because, you know, cooking on different stoves, everything's different, temperatures are different, controls are different.
Do you need me to shake it first?
I don't think so. I mean, you can if you want to.
No,
Shake it.
I was just making sure.
Just a dollop, a little dollop. That's good.
Okay.
And that just keeps it from burning. Do, 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 do. They're all starting to stick together. Make sure you continuously stir it with your spatula.
Julia and I were talking earlier. She usually listens to music while she's cooking, so she's probably a little bit out of her comfort zone, but I'm going to spare her by not singing to her while she's cooking.
I always listen to music. I love cooking, so I also love music, and them together make me very happy.
So what other things do you like to do besides cooking, Julia?
I like to go hiking. Big fan of hiking. This year's kind of been, because of the drought,
Right.
we haven't really been able to go hiking. Like hanging out with my dog. I have probably like the coolest dog ever. So I like hanging out with him.
And then his name is?
Maverick.
Yeah.
His name's Maverick.
Hi, Maverick.
He's about a 120-pound baby. Baby, scared of everything. Vacuum cleaners terrify him. Other than that, I actually work a lot. So.
You do, and you were actually one of our personnel that deployed to Gatlinburg to fight those wildfires. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, the first day that we were there, we're going to add a little more of this.
Okay.
And the reason I'm doing that is because it's not the consistency that I want. It's not melting correctly. The first day that we were there, we got there in the afternoon, and we were leaving the first cruise that came over. And once we got there, we got to what they call a staging area, which is where all your equipment is. When we got there, I couldn't believe the amount of support and outpour of help for that community. I mean, Tennessee is the volunteer state for a reason.
Absolutely.
And so it is indescribable the amount of people there. I mean, there was trucks for days. Fire trucks, brush trucks, which are like smaller fire trucks, but they can go other places. Ambulances, the personnel. I mean, it was an entire just parking lot full of people.
Right.
And so the first day we went to staging, and or that afternoon we were at staging, and a little more of that too. Then it wasn't too long that we were there. We got deployed on a little condo fire, and most of the stuff that we did was rekindles or spot fires that hadn't been hit yet, of course, because we were the second crew. But I think what probably like the most memorable thing for me is just the amount of support that came out of Tennessee and everywhere else for that matter. There were people from everywhere. And it speaks volumes.
Absolutely.
It does. I mean, it's something you just have to see to believe. I guess that would be like the most memorable thing about it. And we're getting pretty close, as you can see there. It's still a little chunky. We don't want chunky. So we're just going to keep melting it. Like Ashley said, I always listen to music when I cook. So at this point, I'd probably be jamming out and not even paying attention to actually how long it takes to melt. So.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. It's a labor-intensive process, but it's well worth it.
Yeah, it's delicious.
And it does smell very good. Just like I say on most of the shows, I wish that everybody could smell what I'm smelling right now because it's wonderful.
Pretty awesome.
And so how many times would you estimate that you've made this cheesecake?
Let's see. The first time I made it was at headquarters, and it was a trial run because I had no idea how this was going to go with so many different parts, and having my regular cheesecake recipe and then mixing it up. I didn't know what the consistency was going to be like. I didn't know how the crust would turn out. So I made it once at headquarters, and it went over very well. All those guys loved it. And then, of course, I made it for McRaven, and then what else did I make? I made it like 2 other times other than that.
Awesome. So we should be getting a really good product then, since she's had a lot of practice.
Maybe.
What other things do you like to cook?
Basically just desserts in general. That's kind of my thing. I can cook regular food too, but I really enjoy baking desserts because they make people happy and they make me happy.
They do make people happy.
They do. People love dessert.
There's a reason they're called sweets. It's so sweet when somebody makes a dessert for you.
All right, so we're getting to about the consistency we want now. You can see that it runs. There's no chunks in it or anything like that. So Ashley's going to step over to the refrigerator, if you will, please, ma'am.
Okay.
And grab the crust that we put in there earlier.
Okay.
And I'm just going to keep stirring it for a minute. So you're just gonna pour this in here. Look at that.
Ooh, delicious.
It looks like peanut butter. It's so weird.
It does look like peanut butter.
And, oh, I dropped some. Shh, don't
That's
tell
okay.
anybody.
We'll scoop that up later.
Yep. All right, that looks good enough for me. And so you can see some of that Oreo came up. And that is also okay. That's just in the bottom of the crust there.
Is that going to kind of bind everything else together, or just
well,
another
it's gonna
delicious
make that bottom
layer?
It's just a layer. Okay. The bottom is going to be a little harder than the sides will be.
Okay.
So we're going to put it back in the refrigerator.
Okay.
Set that aside, and we're done with that for now.
Okay, so I understand we're ready to make the cheesecake filling.
Yeah, now that we've, like we said, did all the layers and got it back in the refrigerator, we're just gonna empty these cream cheese in there, and you need, like I said, 32 ounces, or that's 4 cream cheese.
For people who don't math like me.
Yes, for people like Ashley. And then we just have our other ingredients setting out, you know, for TV magic.
I'm gonna let you scrape while I open these other packages.
I can do that. Which you don't have to get all that out, it's fine. We'll just set that to the side.
You sure?
Yeah, just dump it, shake it. Here, let me show you. I'll show you this technique. There we go. Perfect. And you want this at room temperature, and the reason that is it mixes better. If you have it cold straight out of the refrigerator, it's going to get lumpy and clumpy, and you're going to have lumps and clumps in your cheesecake of cream cheese.
And you just want to have a creamy cheesecake. You just don't want it chunky. Yep.
And so Ashley's going to open those.
Now, I know a lot of people, and you may not know the answer to this, but a lot of people use that, Nutella cheese or whatever instead of cream cheese when they're making cheesecake. Do you know anything about that?
Nope. Now that we have them all in there, we're going to go ahead and blend them. And we just want to blend them till they're smooth and, you know, all of them are blended together. You don't want to overbeat it or introduce a lot of air into it. So it's going to bog down. It's cream cheese. Wow. And this is also why you want it room temperature.
Yum.
Because if you don't, it'll never mix up. At least with a hand mixer.
You definitely want a deep bowl, because if not, it's gonna.
You can hear my little mixer just bogging down. All right, that's good enough for me. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the eggs, and it's 5 eggs, and they need to be at room temperature too, because you don't want to be introducing cold into warm and all that good stuff.
Let me help
so
you crack
Ashley, yeah, crack those on in there, and we're going to just, while she's doing that, I'm going to start blending. So every time you add an egg, you want to make sure that you blend it again. Ooh. But you just want to blend it enough just to incorporate it in there. You don't want to fluff it up. Fluff.
What she doesn't know is I'm not a very good egg cracker.
Uh-oh. It's going to be a crunchy cheesecake.
Nah.
I'm like, there's peanuts in there. I promise.
Won't be that bad.
So you can see it's already changing the texture of it. Just one at a time.
You know, I did find out a secret. If you've got like a liquidy batter, or even if you're trying to scramble eggs for, you know, breakfast or whatever.
Give me about 2 seconds. Let me finish incorporating this one.
Okay.
Okay, you know what? Just dump it on in there. I see that you're
it's
struggling.
Okay.
Dripping through your hands there.
You can actually, if you drop a little piece of shell in there, you can actually take the eggshell and just put it near the little piece that you dropped in there, and it somehow it magnetizes.
And you can see it's becoming more smooth. It's easier to beat.
Speaking of beating, she's beating me over here with her elbow. We're gonna have some MJ tunes up in here. See, you don't need your Pandora radio.
I totally do.
This is the new soundtrack of your life, Julia.
All right, and there's our last one. Go ahead and put that in there.
Oh, that's just a piece of yolk. Thought it was a shell.
Don't get the shells in it, Ashley. As you can see, it's changing even more, like the more you add to it, so. Just want to make sure that's blended all up real nice. I may or may not have blown a mixer up once or twice doing this.
Making a cheesecake.
Blending cream cheese. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add in the peanut butter, which you need a cup of peanut butter, and the brown sugar, and the heavy whipping cream. So
Okay.
just kind of add that all together, and it doesn't really matter, I guess, which way you add it in.
Okay.
So I already measured the sugar out. Just drop that in there like that.
And it was definitely light brown.
Yes, it was light brown sugar. Also, check your light brown sugar, especially for recipes like this. If you've had it a while, it can start to clump up and harden. And if it's clumpy and hard, you're gonna have clumpy hard pieces in your cheesecake, obviously.
Right.
I'm gonna let Ashley actually do that.
Okay. If you don't mind the little bit of egg I have on my hand.
Let me grab you a paper towel real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and add the peanut butter too. Just scrape it all off in there. You don't have to exactly have 1 cup. You don't have to worry about getting it all off the edges. That's not a big deal.
And you want to use creamy, correct? Because you don't want a crunchy center to your...
I mean, I guess, really, it depends on your preference. I've
Yeah.
never used crunchy, but you probably could.
Yeah.
It'd be like a peanutty thing.
It just wouldn't be a
It might
creamy
even-
cheesecake anymore.
Yeah, it would just have little chunks in it. We'll
Yeah.
just go ahead and add that in there.
Okay. And that was half and half.
Heavy.
Heavy cream. Half a cup of heavy cream.
Half a cup. So while she's doing this, it's awesome to have somebody with you that can coordinate and get the sides of the bowls. Because if not, then you leave out a lot of cream cheese and a lot of other things in there.
We don't
too.
want to leave any out.
She's just gonna mix a little more. Once you think that's fully blended, we're gonna go over to the refrigerator and get our crust out.
Okay.
Just
Now
that way
you're
we
the
have it on
expert,
steam.
so I want you to look at it and you tell me what you
It
think.
looks good to me. So we're gonna go ahead and be careful. I would start backing it down a little bit, or
Oh,
no, wrong way, wrong way. So now at this point, you still have your vanilla to add in and your Reese's. So you don't want to blend the Reese's because you're gonna break up the little
Obviously.
Reese's cups.
Right.
So it says a teaspoon of vanilla.
You just kind of
Eyeball
eyeball
it.
it. Yeah. I think that's what everybody does.
Put that in there. Then you're gonna take your Reese's. I'm gonna open it up if I don't fumble over it. You don't want to use them all, you want to save a little bit for later. So I'm just gonna take a handful, literally. I'm just gonna judge how many I want in there. I want most of them in there. Woo! Save a little for later. We're gonna take this and we're just gonna fold them in. Fold the vanilla, fold the Reese's. Like I said, you don't want to mix it because it'll break the Reese's up. Ashley, while I'm folding these in, will you go to the refrigerator and grab the crust for us?
I'll do it.
All right. So just, fold it until it's incorporated. They're gonna settle anyways and move around. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just make sure everything's mixed because we're getting ready to start baking. So just sit it right there.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and just pour it in. So if you don't use all the filling, that's okay too. You just want to fill it up enough to where it's not going to overflow or anything like that. So Ashley, if you could just scrape that out
Okay. Absolutely.
until,
You can just tell me.
all right, stop right there for just
Okay.
a second. We're going to spread it around, see where it's at. Just kind of see where it's at. And everything will be covered up. Boop, 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 boop. We're going to take it over and put it in the oven. Well, first of all, that's a very important step. You need to get a pan big enough to put your springform pan in. And what we're going to do is put a cheesecake in a water bath. And what I mean by water bath is you're going to get you a pan about this size, like I said, that fits your springform
Okay.
pan. You're going to fill it up with water and you're going to set it in there. And the reason that is it keeps it moisturized, that kind of things. Cheesecakes love to crack. The first couple ones I made had big, it looked like the Grand Canyon in there. Just crater. So, and that's okay, it still tastes delicious. So we're gonna fill this up probably about right there. We don't want to overflow in the oven. And then we're gonna stick this in there and stick it in the oven.
Okay.
So now we're gonna make the topping for it. And to make the topping, you're gonna get 1/4 cup of sour cream, and Ashley's gonna measure that out for me. And it says 5 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate, but I kind of just guess. So it's a 12-ounce bag, around half of it. Around half. So that looks to be around half to me.
Okay.
All right. And we have this on. And once again, like with the caramel, if you're not using a double boiler like we aren't, be careful not to burn it because you'll burn it. You don't want to burn it. You don't want to burn chocolate.
Don't want to burn it.
And also, I have the heavy whipping cream over here too, just in case. Will you hand me that spatula, please, ma'am?
Sure.
Just in case stuff starts getting a little crazy, I can add a little to it. No big deal.
Now, you added about half a bag of the...
It says, like I said, it says 5 ounces, but I just guess.
Okay.
It's 12-ounce bag. I'm actually going to go ahead and add a little of this.
Do you find it
Just a
easier
dollop.
to melt the minis?
That's just the
Like
ones
they
I
just
picked
melt.
up. Yeah. I mean, they will melt
They
faster.
probably melt quicker, yeah.
I'm sure. Those are just the ones I picked up.
Just depends on how hungry you are.
Yeah. How quick you want this cheesecake done.
Yes.
So we're just melting it slow here.
And I know this was McCraven's concoction, but I guess you could probably use the peanut butter chips or any kind of other...
Honestly, whatever kind of topping you want to put on it, you can. Yeah. You can alter it. It's not going to be a big deal. And you can alter as far as like the candy. I'm pretty sure you could alter the candy in it too, just to do like, if you want to do a Milky Way cake instead of a peanut butter Reese's cake, take out the cup of peanut butter, put in some Milky Ways. I'd chop those up though because they get kind of big.
Yes. And will this topping harden, or what are we looking for with it?
With this, we're looking for that same consistency. We want it to be smooth. Okay. We want it to melt down. And of course, you know, you got to refrigerate this recipe for a while, so it's going to harden on top of it. But when you first get it done, you want it to be smooth. You want it to be spreadable. So
That chocolate smells so good.
Just going to add a little beep boop more. Beep boop.
Well, that was a cute little sound effect. Thank you for that, Julia.
You're welcome. I do all my own stunts too, so there's that.
That's probably good. She probably had to do a lot of stunts growing up. Julia actually has how many brothers?
5 older brothers.
And her mom's pretty impressive, not only because she had 6 kids, but they're all of their names start with J, so that must have been fun when she was trying to call one of you out on something.
It depends who was in trouble. There was a whole lot of mumbling that happened.
I think I would probably trip over all those names if I was trying to figure out who I was getting on to.
So right now you can see it's still kind of chunky. That's because we're melting it slow. Like I said, we don't want to burn it, so don't want to burn it. Melting it up, going slow. We're also gonna go ahead and get those Reese's set up, which you already have for me, because after we spread it on there, we're gonna top it with a couple Reese's to make it really pretty. And who doesn't like extra candy?
Absolutely. I was just wishing there were some extra in here that we didn't have to put on the top that I could eat.
How many's in there?
Not very many.
Oh. Never mind.
I told you I don't math, so I can't tell you exactly how many are in there, but
1, 2.
9.
Are there 9?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you can have one. Go for it. I only need like 4.
I mean, while I'm watching the show here.
Right? Have a little snack, do a little cooking. All right, we're getting to a better consistency now. You can still see there's a few little lumps in there, but we're getting that smooth consistency that we're looking for. So we can probably actually go ahead and turn the heat down a little more, just so we don't burn it. And stir, stir. I see a little lump that I don't like, so I'm gonna stir that guy.
Get rid of that thing.
Stir that guy out of there. All right.
That looks so velvety smooth now.
It is. All the smoothness. All right. Now that we've got this melted, we're going to go over to the cheesecake and top the cheesecake with it. All right. So now that our chocolate's melted and our cheesecake's finished and all baked, we're going to go ahead and top it. So we're just going to pour it on there.
And we did let it cool. Ooh.
Which you don't have to. You don't have to let it cool just yet. You're going to refrigerate it for 4 hours, and you can actually put this on there before you put it in the refrigerator. But for TV purposes only.
Yes.
We have one already made, and we're swirling it around and making it look pretty.
That's like a chocolate, I don't know what you would call it, like
It looks like a ganache almost,
yes.
But it's not a ganache. It's just a topping.
But you swirling it is like a...
Oh, like a...
I don't know what you call that. It's like, oh, drawing me in.
Oh, you love it. All right, so you can go as far as you want. We're gonna stop right about there just because it makes it easier to take it off.
Okay.
So Ashley's gonna finish it up, make it real pretty with these little Reese's. However she decides to decorate it.
Well, I guess I should have made this
Are you
toward the
making a smiley
audience,
face?
but yes. They're gonna have a snaggle tooth.
Oh no.
So I know we're probably supposed to let this topping cool, like you said, for 4 hours. But I'm kind of hungry and I want to taste this cheesecake.
right.
So can we cut it up?
Yeah, also this has been sitting out for a little bit, so it's gonna stick to the sides, and that's okay. It's all for the TV.
I have us some festive winter plates.
Gotta be careful when you take it off or you'll snag your edges, but that's what it's gonna look like.
How pretty. Okay.
All right,
I'll
cut
let
it up.
you-
You want me to
you-
cut it?
Oh, honey, you haven't seen me cut stuff.
Oh, honey.
Oh, honey.
Honey, hush. All right, well, just go ahead and cut into it then.
You don't have to be stingy about the portions either. I
Okay.
mean, if you want to make it like a good size.
You gotta make sure you get past the crust too, because I can
Yes.
feel it, the caramel's in there. Cut it. And if it doesn't come out pretty, that doesn't bother me. I
Yeah,
do
who
tasty,
cares?
I don't do pretty. So,
And it definitely, to me anyway, looks delicious.
yeah. There it is.
Look at that, folks. Look at that. And while you look at it, I'm going to eat it.
Perfect.
Do you want to cut yourself a piece?
I was gonna eat most of yours.
I don't think so. Sorry. There's a reason this is called mine.
Mine? Mine? Mine?
Okay. Here's the moment of truth.
What do you think? Is it good?
Mm-hmm. You just keep on doing what you're doing. I'm just going to sit here and eat my cake. If you would like this recipe or others, visit www.murfreesboro.tn.gov/cookingwithmfrd. And for past episodes, visit us on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm Ashley McDonald, and welcome to this episode of Cooking with MFRD. We've got a great show lined up for you today.
TV magic. Hi, welcome to Cooking with MFRD, and I'm your host, Julia Pitt. It's much better.